I too have so many things, so many glowing remarks and other remarks to say about our buddy Mocker Plays. So there's no doubt. I do think it's really cool that you both have gotten to know each other really well over the last couple of years, and and it's neat that I suppose the stream times probably have helped in time zones probably assist in that, but I've always enjoyed that. I don't want to end, but yeah, do you think you could do a streamathon like Mocker's doing, where like there's like 48 hours of stream you have to do and consecutive days? That seems that's wild.
I mean, the most difficult part about this would be setting up the timers and all the kind of stream overlay stuff, because I am usually very simple with my overlays, and just setting this kind of stuff up would take the longest time, I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But not if I would ask for Maker's help. But still, for my stream, it's always about streaming music. So basically, I would just need to have a lot of creativity, and then I could maybe pull it off. I mean, I've been thinking about making longer streams for anniversaries,
Mm-hmm.
like 12-hour streams or something like this. But considering that I will be playing music basically all the time with a few talking segments in between, this is some kind of Springsteen territory that I'm getting into because
Yeah,
of the long
absolutely.
music performances, I guess.
Springsteen territory is perfect, actually. That's great. I will say your mic levels are coming in. I am hearing a little bit of clipping on your side, so if you would be good to balance that out, I think. I love the level,
Okay.
but it is coming in a little hot, so put that out there for you.
Okay. Yeah, I will. I hope that this is better now.
It is. It is. It is. I can hear that better. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's good.
I lowered it a little bit. I'm in the, I would say, at 65% probably.
Okay. Yeah, it seems to be coming in pretty well. I think. I think that's pretty good.
Okay.
We'll go with that. And then I
Great.
can always adjust gain on my side too, so it shouldn't be too bad. So I'll just do that really
Yeah.
fast. So scotch this way should be good. Um, but yeah, this Springsteen. Have you ever seen? I know Springsteen's been to Europe, but have you ever seen a Springsteen concert?
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
I've been to, I think, 5 or 6 concerts already by the boss, but I'm a total concert nerd. So
Oh cool.
this year, I don't even have a number how often I've been to concerts this year, but this is one of my main hobbies apart from making music
Mm-hmm.
myself or doing this kind of networking that we're doing all the time. But just being in the audience, listening to the music, checking out the stage and the show, obviously, this is something that I love. It's always, for me as a musician, I'm always happy when seeing professionals play properly and not having to perform myself, because
Less pressure, right?
there's
Yeah.
so much stress and so much rehearsal stuff and getting the gear to work and making sure everybody's on time and everything is ready.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're just in the audience, you get there on time, you go in, you enjoy the music, you enjoy the show, talk to other fans, maybe even talk to the musicians after the show,
Yep.
and then drive home afterwards. And that's, for me, that's the best.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm glad you've been able to make so many concerts. That's really great. So, well, that's a good place to we can keep going with that. Let's go ahead and start things up. It's lovely to have you here. I've been excited to have you on, and so thanks for doing this. And thanks to King Danbreaker for checking in. Thanks to Rothgar as well. We'll follow up on your sidebar question to King in a moment, but let me first say hello to our audience. Oh, I pushed the wrong button. That's
Hi.
funny. That was funny. Let me say hello to everybody. Hi, everyone. I'm Davey. Welcome to the Sandwich Show. And today we have a special daytime edition of the Sandwich Show, which creates an EU-friendly time slot for folks like our latest guest to check in. I am pleased to introduce to you a synth musician has put out numerous works on Bandcamp and Apple Music and Spotify and all the music platforms, and in addition, streams the synthesized grooves on Twitch regularly each week. Folks, Oh no, what happened here? Okay, there we're back. Folks, I'd love to introduce to you now our latest guest in our sandwich Q&A series. Please welcome Mr. X, coming from the great country, from the cool country of Germany. Nice to have you here. Welcome in.
Thank you so much, Davey. I'm glad to be your guest today.
Well, we're glad to have you as a guest as well, my friend. Yeah, it is always fun for me to chat with people on the other side of the planet because we see you on stream at the earlier parts of the day in most cases. Sometimes we'll see you in the evening hours in the US, but with that you have different perspectives, you have different backgrounds, different upbringings, and then you've talked about concerts as we were warming up here in our starting soon, and I think it's really cool that you've had that much experience getting to see shows. So it's lovely to have you here. We are going to talk about Mr. X's latest release, which has been pinned to the chat. So if you want to check it out, you can check it out on Bandcamp now and purchase the album for yourself. And it is available in 24 kilohertz, 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, high resolution audio, if you so choose. So, and that's one of the cool things about your work is that it is a very high quality audio work. So we'll talk about that for sure, and we'll get into a lot of other details as we go and talk about your journey and what have you. And we have people checking in. Pink Daisy Cat, welcome in. Nice to have you here. Thanks for joining us. So, Mr.
Hello,
X,
Pink Daisy Cat.
it is a really cool journey. I'll revisit the topic of concerts in a minute, and I know that King had because King was asking concerts or festivals or both. Have you been to festivals as well?
Actually, one-day festivals, not the camping experience that you have when you have multi-day festivals, but just those one-day festivals that start in the like 10 a.m. in the morning or so, and then they go right into the night. Because I'm not much of a camping person, at least not around festivals, so that's why I haven't been to those bigger ones. But I actually focus on the single concerts most of the time.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I got you. Well, I appreciate you sharing that as well. And with your your analog synthesizer journey, I mean, it does create a sound that I think even today can resonate with a lot of people. And I know that you get the sound by way of a lot of different modular racks, drum machines, and synthesizer machines. And I was really wondering how you started building your synthesizer empire. I mean, where is the first of all, where is the genesis of your inspiration to do music? But secondly, how did you form the beginning of what has become a really magical kingdom of synthesizers?
First of all, thank you so much for the kind words about my music and the setup. Um, and maybe I should start at the very beginning because
Mm-hmm.
before playing keyboards and all that kind of stuff, I was just a music listener, like most of the people probably that started with music in the first place. Um, when I was a kid, I started to discover music on my own and not just listening to the stuff that's on the radio or that maybe was talked about at school or something, but just trying to dig deeper, finding other music and simply finding what's out there. Um, and first of all, I started in listening to rock, hard rock, 70s rock, 60s rock, 80s, 90s, that kind of stuff. Um, but somehow the music that I was drawn to and still I am drawn to is progressive rock, basically the nerdy stuff like Rush or like the classic bands from the 70s, Pink Floyd, Genesis, yes, King Crimson, Emerson, Lake and Palmer is a huge influence. Um, and by listening to this kind of music basically all day and sometimes even all night, I started to wonder what goes on by making this kind of music. Because listening is one thing, but finding out how the music is created is different and a completely different world, actually. And somehow I was really interested in the keyboard sounds. I mean, I like great guitar players. Everybody likes Jimi Hendrix, but also guys like Robert Fripp or Steve Hackett. But I was always very interested in the keyboard sounds, and I simply researched how they are created and what's the deal with them. And something that's so special about the progressive rock is actually they came up by using synthesizers heavily as the first bands. Actually, I mean, the Beatles and even Simon and Garfunkel sometimes used them, but only more as some kind of gimmick. But those prog rock bands really try to take these instruments and give them a musical function and somehow a kind of musical operation. And this is how I started to become interested in synthesizers. And then the first instrument, the first proper instrument that I bought, the first synth, was the Moog Little Fatty, which is basically just if I stretch my arm, I can touch it already. It's just off screen.
Oh wow.
It's the key instrument in my setup. Some people simply pick up their guitar and start playing. Some people play piano when they want to develop a musical idea. But I have the synth. I mean, sometimes I like to go to the piano and simply play a melody, but this synthesizer is my main instrument. And
Hmm.
I mean, I can basically play it by heart. I'm saying this now, and I'm sure a lot of people can show me things that I never have heard from this instrument. But still, it's the key sound that I want to have. This classic Moog sound, as they sometimes say,
Hmm.
this synth sound that everybody who knows about synthesizers associates with this kind of sound.
Oh yeah.
And this is the first instrument that I bought in, I think it was 2009 or 2010.
Okay.
Um, the first step which led to this big setup that you see all around me.
Hmm.
Um, and that's a long story how this synth castle came about.
I love it though. This is great. Yeah. Um, and it is really cool. And that is it does sound like that's a really good starting point, and like a Moog or mini Moog, a keyboard like that can really get you on the right foot. And all the dials, you start to get to know the sounds. I think what I'm most curious about, and we're gonna say hello to Charlie the Goddess 1123. Welcome in. Nice to have you back here. Um, but the wires behind you, they remind me of a telephone operator switchboard, where you plug one wire in, put it into a different wire. But what do those wires do? What do they connect to? Like, what are they different sounds in those jacks? Like, what's behind those wires?
The thing with modular synthesis is that the modules are the main parts.
Hmm.
And when you have separate modules and they aren't connected, you won't get any sounds because the connections are simply missing.
Right.
And those fancy wires that you see behind me uh, basically create the signal path.
Okay.
And let's get to the synth basics really quick. It's actually quite easy because you need two things. You need an oscillator, which is the main sound source. It's just a long beep, like a sawtooth sound or a square sound, something like this. One long, endless note, just a signal that's emitted by the oscillator that you can hear. And the amplifier that makes or that just amplifies the sound, basically. It's actually very simple. And in between those two parts, you most of the time add a filter to somehow form the sound, and then you need an envelope so that you can actually create notes out of this or simply give the sound a length, because otherwise the sound would go on and on and on without anything happening unless you turn off the amplifier.
Oh, I got it.
And you need the cables to get the sound to the next module
Hmm.
and also to somehow get the control voltages into the system, because most people use master keyboards or somehow a keyboard, and you have two things actually: pitch control voltage and the gate control voltage. Pitch, I mean, it's obvious that this is the sound that you hear, or basically the pitch of the sound.
Right.
And gate simply means that it tells the amplifier when to open the signal and when to close the signal, so that you can actually somehow have silence in between the notes.
Right. So it does work a lot in a lot of the same ways that vocal dynamics do, but since they're electronic sounds, they create all sorts of wicked types of sounds. And you've mentioned a couple of them, and I'm familiar with the principles of square waves, and I think you said, what was the other one you said? Sawtooth.
Sawtooth.
Yeah, Sawtooth is another big one, and I think those in the know that do synthesizers regularly would be able to know which one is which based just by hearing it. So
It's totally easy because sawtooth sounds are so famous, especially during the 80s.
yep,
And I'm sure that everybody knows Jump by Van Halen, the
yep,
famous hit. And the intro, this is pure sawtooth sound.
okay,
It's a polysynth, that's the only difference, but the sound, this is a sawtooth. And that's it. Square waves are, I could say they are more used by Depeche Mode, probably,
okay,
but
okay.
it's just a very fine detail.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. No, those are good examples. Yeah, absolutely. You definitely hear examples of very good examples of both of those in each band's work. Um, Now I know that in the '70s, like the polysynthesis didn't really come about until later in that decade, or maybe even at the end of that decade, really. So I understand that when you would create a sound or a patch, as you would, that's why they're called patches, because I can see you use patch cables to make that'll happen. Um, but when you create a patch, like for example, like I'll use this piano as an example, but like you can only just do one note at a time. You can't play two. So, what did people do in the '70s to make that happen? Was that just dubbing over another one, or did they create the patch to kind of include maybe two different sounds at the same time? I've always wondered about that.
Yeah, actually, it is true that sometimes overdubbing was done, but you can imagine that with a monophonic instrument, it takes a lot of
Yeah.
steps in the overdubbing until you get this polyphonic sound.
Right.
And this also had the issue that those songs couldn't actually be played on stage. There's a famous, or in the scene famous at least, example of the album Trilogy by Emerson, Lake and Palmer, where Keith Emerson, the keyboardist, uh, used overdubbing to create a very rich and full sound and to somehow get to polyphonic sequences or polyphonic playing. Um, but when they wanted to tour to promote the album, they realized, oh, we can't really play those songs on stage. Um, they tried to come up with using tape machines with backing tracks, but that didn't really work at all because they're more or less a jam based band. They like to improvise a lot, or like to improvise a lot. They aren't existing anymore, sadly. Um, which showed that there was this strong limitation because the keyboard players could only play the monophonic synth, and that was the limit on stage. I mean, you could play with both hands, but still, that would just be duophonic in the best sense. Um, and this led to the development of polysynths. But you can, if you have more than one oscillator, you can tune the oscillators accordingly so that you could create a chord when you have three oscillators in parallel and then trigger them all at the same time.
Okay.
And you simply tune them to chord intervals, which work most of the time depending on what kind of stuff you're playing.
Mhm.
But this was some kind of workaround to get somehow polyphonic sound. It's not truly polyphonic because in the end you're just playing one note and it's just a fixed tuning. But this was some kind of necessary step to somehow get more out of the synth than just simply having the same tuning all the time of the
Right.
oscillators.
Right. Totally. Um, I want to welcome Rain Ulonin. Good to see you, and Rothgar. Good to see you again as well. So, as you apply some of the historic techniques to your work, I'm always curious, like what's your strategy in terms of creating a sound, or creating a song, or even creating an entire album? Because I know that you can create. There are a lot of different things in play. Actually, I alluded to this on Discord this morning, including arpeggios, for example, where you have entire sequences of notes playing over and over and over and over and over. As an example, there are effects, as you said, delays, reverb, things like that. But where does this track begin Would you start with the? Would you start with? Would you start with an arpeggio? Would you start with percussion? What would be the beginning of, or is it different each time? Like, what do you normally do to decide how to compose a work?
Um, I mean, I like to improvise a lot, and this is most of the time how the song ideas come together by simply trying stuff out. And
Hmm.
it depends on my mood during the day or some things that happened maybe, or even music that I listened to that inspired me. And then I simply play a first melody, or I'm just trying around some stuff on one of the instruments here. Or, like you said, I want to find a sound that maybe comes close or is something completely new, something that I didn't try before by simply patching all the modules in a different way and hoping that something will come out of it. Um, but it's actually always based on improvisation. There is no fixed idea. I mean, of
Oh,
course,
okay.
sometimes I think, okay, today might be a day where I want to have a slower jam, or
Hmm.
maybe sometimes I want to have an upbeat jam. Uh, but I most of the time start with the melodies and then I will add rhythm, for example, drum machines and all that kind of stuff. I know
Hmm.
many people who start in a different way. They need rhythm first and then the music happens somehow.
Right, right. So interesting. That is so interesting because, like, I think I know that some of the most well-known synthesized like riffs of all time basically were experiments, just like you said. Like you're just listening, you're just like putting something out, and like, okay, what can I do with this to make this more interesting, or what can I add to this? So I think that's pretty cool. Like I appreciate you sharing that. Like it's neat to see how the process comes together. And you mentioned improv. I think that's very much in the tradition of, as you said, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and yes, and Genesis too. Like they've definitely been good with like taking a movement and then playing off of that, and then like extending it. And the Who were kind of similar that way. Like they would be good at that too. So before we keep going, I would like to do you I think it's about that time for our sandwich segment. Do you have a sandwich on you tonight?
I have it right in front of me.
Okay, let me bring us
Um,
in. I'll just do a quick intro and then I will throw to you. And I would love to see what you have for a sandwich of the week. So here we go. It is that time for the. Wow, that sounded good. Wow. Loud, but good. But welcome to Sandwich of the Week on The Sandwich Show. And so, once again, we'd love to take this opportunity to showcase a sandwich on stream. So, Mr. X, I will give it to you, and let's see what you got this week.
Okay, let me introduce because we talked about this while thinking about the stream and the collaboration. And I thought, okay, sandwiches are a British thing, very popular also in the USA, of course. And I see on your Instagram that you have those really extremely tasty looking sandwiches.
Thank you.
But I thought Germany is known for efficiency.
True.
Germany is known for getting things done in an easy and simple way. And so I thought, why not share the most basic, but somehow still most popular sandwich that we have in Germany? And it's just the Käsebrot, the cheese sandwich. I didn't flip it together because I wanted to show how I sometimes like to have it. And that's the advantage of us being on stream because I hope that you can see it here. It's
Oh.
it's Gouda or Gouda, as you say, and then
Mm-hmm.
some onions on the top, and then a little bit of salt and pepper on very nice bread. And I can safely eat the onions without anybody, uh, maybe not being very happy about this,
Fortunately, the
but still, let
technology
me.
has not advanced that much
Yeah.
yet.
But I do know a team that's actually developing some kind of device that should transmit smell. I don't know how and why anybody would want this, but they think it might be a good idea.
Hmm.
Um,
Interesting.
But still, I hope I made this right or did this correctly, but it shouldn't be that much of a trick, so let me
Oh.
try it. Is Staggy here? Because I don't have reverb on here. We have this kind of ongoing running gag of mukbang ASMR, but I'm doing my best.
That's funny.
It's good.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That looks great. I love the onions as a call, and So I'm big. I'm a big. I endorse your onion selection highly. Pink Daisy Cat says looks delicious. Now, before I get to my sandwich, I do have a joke for you, and a couple of thank yous. Renzo Penaranda, thank you for the follow. It's really great to have you join our community. And Pink Daisy Cat, likewise. Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate you following the Sandwich Show. It's nice to have you here. So, the question from Rain: what did one electronic musician say to the other when they were leaving? Oscillator.
Nice one.
Bad pun. Well done. I appreciate that email. Okay, here's what I got this week. So this is actually relatively simple as well. And those of you who are following on Instagram saw this sandwich earlier in the week. I can't get enough of the egg and cheese. It's a simple egg, scrambled eggs and cheese on top of sourdough bread. I added some pepper. I added some Tabasco sauce. I've been eating this thing like a habit. It's been and I also this week have included some Utz potato chips, which are really good. These are light and they go great with every sandwich. So that's what I got this week.
I was thinking about adding pretzel sticks because that would be like the deluxe version of these kind of simple sandwiches. But I didn't want to over impress anyone.
That would have been pretty good though, yeah.
Looks tasty.
Mm-hmm. Well, enjoy your sandwich. I shall enjoy mine as well. Very exciting.
It's like the office break with everybody sitting at the same table and chewing on their sandwiches.
Quite right. I love it. But yeah, I'm gonna make sure when next time I get to the store, I will pick up some Gouda because I'd love to try yours. The way you diced your onions too, that looks really good.
It's simply cutting them and then, I mean, the trick is, and that might be a bit nerdy, but still, the worst that could happen is that the onions roll off the sandwich as you eat it. I mean, when you flip both slices together, then this shouldn't happen that often. But still, this is the only downside to onions, unless you have some kind of sauce or mustard, for example, where you could put them on so that they would stick. But then I think having mustard and onions is a bit of a dangerous combination.
I suppose, but it would taste pretty good. I'm a big fan of mustard as well. So, what is mustard like in your country? Is it usually kind of grounded up like brown mustard, or is it like yellow mustard? Like much?
I mean, mustard has a very long history and tradition in Germany and Europe, actually, at all over the place. There's a very strong French tradition of these different kinds of mustard that you can have. But still, Düsseldorf is a city that's very close to where I live. They have basically a local history of mustard, and they have them in all kinds of variations. There is the very hot mustard, which is simply it looks yellow as you know it, but it's super hot, and you should always apply only a very thin layer because of the extreme hotness of the mustard. But then there is the very classical mustard where you simply take the what's the word, the Senfkörner. At least the now it shows that I didn't prepare this stream at all.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I didn't.
The mustard seeds. There, Google can help me. That you simply ground them lightly, put them into vinegar, and then you add salt or something. And this is this kind of traditional mustard that doesn't really taste that hot, and more like mustard in the original sense. That's the ancien, as they call it in French, basically the very old. But it's also very tasty. Also great at salads.
Oh, that's great. That sounds. You have my attention with mustard. You know, I know that every year that they have a festival called Oktoberfest, which features a lot of different beer and sausage, and mustard is certainly part of that too. But is it true what they say about beer in Germany? Like, it seems like it's something that that your part of the world is very proud of, and I don't know if you're a beer connoisseur yourself, but it does seem like they've got a lot of great beer going on where you are.
Um, I do both of the best of both worlds, beer and wine.
Okay.
And of course, beer tradition in Germany is a very, very big thing, despite the beer consumption going down in the recent years. But that's, I guess, economically related. Still, beer tradition has been very strong in Germany. It's getting a bit difficult because of the economic situation with breweries closing. Um, but there are many regional beers. And it's interesting that you mention Oktoberfest because Oktoberfest is something very Bavarian. It's not that popular in Germany per se. And if people want to experience the Oktoberfest, they travel to Munich in Bavaria, where the original one happens. And yeah, beer still is a thing in Germany. It's not as popular as, for example, in Belgium, where almost every village has their own brewery. But it is one of the main alcoholic beverages that you can have here in Germany.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And still, wine is the not the counterpart, but many people decide either between drinking beer or drinking wine, but you won't find people who drink both in the same way that often.
I
Just
see.
because wine is always considered something posh, something very expensive, but that's actually not true. You can get very good wines at a low price, and
True.
then those are still much better than supermarket wines, for example.
Yeah, you're right. I think I've seen some pretty solid wine for not that much really. And beer can actually be surprisingly expensive depending on like how much you get and what type you get. So I think that's a very good point. Now when you talk about wine, like what's your lean? Do you go red wine or white wine?
Very heavy red, but I like to drink a good white wine as well.
Cool.
Funnily enough, the room next to the studio,
Mm-hmm.
there is the wine cellar, and it's
Ooh.
not related that I simply get inspired and then perform, or perform and then get the stress relief or something by drinking all the time. But it's just because I am in the basement here. That's always good to have a studio in the basement where no
Mm-hmm.
neighbor can cry about how loud this shitty music is. Um,
Okay, like,
yeah.
let's talk. Let's just a moment here. We do not call that shitty music. That's amazing music you do. Um, but but a good point about the basement. Like it is a kind of the dream for a lot of. I mean, so no wonder you're a big fan of Danielle Allard. I mean, basement culture is huge at Danny's channel. You know.
Yes, and I totally understood what she's doing there because it's just some kind of basement people know what's up. Basement people know why they like to, why they prefer performing and making music in basements. I mean, it's not like that sunlight hurts us. The vampire status is still a secret, but um, it's just it has some kind of it's a workplace, and I like to have it like some kind of workplace. The walls aren't decorated with any stuff. It's very simple. I have my instruments. I have some furniture to put some stuff, and that's basically it. Because I like to work here. I like to work on music, and when all those areas somehow come together, working, performing, being creative, and enjoying performing, then that's the best that can happen, actually.
Absolutely, I love that. Sid Heresy, welcome into the chat. Nice to meet you, and we're glad to have you here for our conversation with Mr. X, who is a synth musician based in Germany. You've talked about all the different instruments you have. One of them, like, oh, thank you for the follow, Sid. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for following. Um, the automaton, was that directly
Yes.
inspired by Danny, or did you have that already before you met Danielle Lard and got to know their channel?
It was a present for my birthday from my brother, actually,
Okay.
and he didn't know about all the inside jokes that are happening on Twitch with the automaton, but he simply gifted me one, probably because he saw it in a shop somewhere or found out about it or saw YouTube videos about it. Um, and I thought this was an excellent idea that he had. And it's a channel point redeem because I want to keep it special. And still, I like this thing. It's some consider it silly, but I actually like this one. And a friend of Sid and mine as well, DJ Dowie, he enhanced his automaton and amplified it, I think, with a jack out and something like this. I mean, he knows all the details, but sadly, he isn't in chat at the moment. But he really knows what's up, and he even won a contest or made the second or third place of playing the automaton and covering some songs.
Well, that's impressive. Congratulations. I mean, top 3. That's a big finish. Absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
I'm wondering what kind of songs were they? Would you know offhand?
I think one was a Deepish Mode song.
Oh no.
I'm not sure, but still, he actually came very close. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope that I can get his name right. I think it's with an underscore, and I mean, you see one of the emotes because Sid posted them. So will it work? It should work
DJ
now.
Joe. Oh, okay. Yeah. I've seen this handle. So, King, can you shout that handle out? And then, folks, go follow DJ Doe. That's really great. Congrats to our friend for that incredible run. I'm gonna just.
Speaking of instruments, this just in, because speaking of instruments, Sid Heresy actually inspired one of the racks that I have behind me,
Ooh.
because of a certain way of generative music creation. I mean, that would be a long tangent to go about, but I actually called this one the Sid rack because all of the ideas that you can do with this rack are inspired by the music that Sid Heresy does.
Oh, Sid, that's amazing. Like, does Sid stream too? We should.
Yes,
Oh,
he's basically almost a daily streamer, I would say.
okay. Well, I'm gonna follow Sid, and yeah, can we shout out Sid as well? Mods. Let's. Oh, look at that. So Sid's in the Sid's in the modular synths too. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, and that's kind of an interesting little subplot to the saga of Mr. X is that you are part of a modular synth community that somehow also has a pretty good tie-in with Danny's community too, because I know that for a time we had Sarah Sounds Cave, who also kind of like more of a virtual modular instrument, virtual modular synthesizers, but it was the same idea. Like it would just like you would create a sound, and the sound would just kind of segue into other things, and then one would improvise off of that, and then create entire soundscapes. So that's again that's do you enjoy your contemporaries in the field as well? I feel like that's a solid yes, but speak to like some of the other components components. I love it. Of the modular synth community.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very interesting part of Twitch in a whole because the networking aspect leads to inspiration, at least for me. And many of the things that you saw, like the Sid track that I mentioned earlier, were instantly inspired by those people, by their streams, by the content that they're creating. And Sarah is a mod on my channel, and we chat a lot, depending on how work allows, of course, and the time zone differences, because Sarah's patches that she uses on VCV Rack, that's an application that you see on her stream, and she really knows how to create great patches in this application.
Yep.
This is something that I sometimes do, but off stream just to test some things because you can add as many modules as you want, as many as your CPU allows, until the thing burns up or something. And I really like to be inspired by other people, by other streamers.
Mm-hmm.
The same with Danielle. I mean, her community is exceptionally friendly, supportive, like I never saw anywhere else, I must admit. This is why I became so interested in not just watching her streams, but also getting into the community, learning about all the events that Danny has,
Oh yeah.
and the events that are held by other people from the community. And I find this really impressive. And I see Jazzy rated just
Jazzy, thank you for
and
the raid. It's good to have you here. Thank you so much for raiding. But anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no worries. The idea is actually that it's not just about talking about gear or so. I
Mhm.
like to watch the streams of other people simply to see how do they create the music. And it's not just focused on electronic music. It's with every music stream and also sometimes with the art streams. I'm not an artist myself. When I start to draw things, then even the real nerds get really angry. But I like to watch people create. Yeah. Um, and it's so interesting to see. And what I meant with being inspired is not only inspired in a musical sense, but also inspired in handling the technical aspects. For example, I stacked the keyboards which actually have keys. I mean, obviously they would have some. Um, Before I had this kind of Jaspers stand, this huge metal thingy, I had basically two islands, one close to the camera with some keyboards and one in the back with a different set of keyboards, because I didn't really had the proper idea how to get everything at one place to have it performance ready without having to separate the instruments. And there is a streamer called Neon House, and house in this case is written like the German word house,
Mhm.
but still he's in the USA, and he had this really nice Jasper's rack, everything stacked and ordered neatly, and the camera at the top showing this rack. And when I watched his stream, I thought, that's it. That's exactly what I need. Something to stack like he has, to have it ready in one place, and just to stand in front of the instruments and being able to play them at once as I like that. And this is how many things about my stream came together just by watching other streams and not just enjoying their content, enjoying their music maybe, but also just by seeing what are they using, how are they using it, and maybe asking them like, what's your setup or what's your routing for the streaming and all this kind of stuff. Um, I'm a technical nerd in that aspect, just to know how people create their art and create their music and what's the workings behind it, because that's always why I don't show the floor of this studio. Anybody who knows cable management, for example, Sid, he's a professional,
Right,
he's
right.
an audio engineer. They would scream and probably call Interpol or something. And
You might have some company in that, dog. I don't think my cable management is that great either. So for what it's worth, I mean,
oh,
I wouldn't feel too
I
bad
would
about
make
it.
you cry. I would make
You
you
would make me.
cry. I know I would, because I see it. It's just cut off. Sid likes to say, "I'm glad that we're filming from the waist up," but I'm sitting down now. But I'm glad that it's cut off, because sometimes I look at it myself and I think, why, and how? If you think that's bad, then you need to see what's happening on the floor. And I mean, Danny knows about floor nachos, and they would get lost here.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Well, it's it for but for what it's worth, it sounds great. And so, let's bring in the raid. Thank you, Jazzy, for the raid. Good to see Ryan too. I predict the red. I predict the red. Thank you so much for the raid, Jazzy. So good. You know, this is my favorite thing about doing shows this early in the day is we can have raids from cool people like Jazzy, based in the EU. How are you, Jazzy? It's good to see you again. My name is Davey. I'm a variety streamer based in Los Angeles, California, USA, and we are hanging out today and tonight with Mr. X, based out of Germany, and we've been chatting a lot about modular synthesis, music, and concerts and things. And Jazzy, it's great to see you here. So y'all go follow Jazzy and follow that E flat guy too, who checked in as well. Great to see you too. We will be taking your questions in a little bit. If you wanted to pick Mr. X's brain about anything, music or how to stream, things like that. Jazzy says cable management is a chore. Never look at mine either. See, we have company. We have company. Let's go. Pump that. Please don't ever fall over the cable management, says Jazzy. And it's good to see you. It's good to see you too. Sid says, I just put piles of clothes over it.
See, that's the professional that I've talked about. Sid knows all the secrets.
Yeah, absolutely. But and by the way, those of you who just rated in, Sandwich, I still have some of it. This is an egg and cheese. I've been talking up egg and cheese for 2 weeks. But this is it. It's really good. It's really good. And I don't know. Do you have any of your sandwich left? I don't blame you if you don't, because
Yeah, I'm a slow eater in that respect because either I would be eating or I would be talking, but we learned that we shouldn't be doing both. So that's my sandwich, and you can see the bite marks are nasty.
but that's a sign of a
But
good
still,
sandwich.
I wanted to say it's cool, Jazzy. Thank you for the raid. I've met Jazzy a lot in real life at the TwitchCon events or at the showcase events,
Hmm.
and Sid as well. I met him in Chicago, I think 2 or 3 years ago. Awesome people, online and offline.
Aw, I believe it. I believe it. Jazzy's been so kind to all of us out here on this channel and everywhere really throughout Twitch. So Jazzy, enjoy your lurk. Jazzy, this is on that note. I'm gonna lurk because I do need something similar to a sandwich. And Jazzy adds, it was awesome to meet you so many times. That's great. Yeah, and that's a great segue. We you have had the privilege of hosting the IRL Streamer Showcase on 2 occasions, this year and last year. And getting to know Mocker Play seems to have created that opportunity. Tell us the story of how you got recruited to do the IRL Streamer Showcase, and if you have any anecdotes from the experience, let us know.
I mean, there wasn't much of a story behind it because when Mark developed the idea of the showcase, he thought about the different roles that he needs for the event, and one of the key roles, of course, is having a host or multiple hosts. And he, being the main organizer, said, "Well, I will probably be busy all night and all day, of course, setting up the stuff and checking that everything is working and so on, and checking that everybody's doing their work and nobody is confused about something." So he wouldn't have the time to host. But I also think that he didn't want to be the host himself. I mean, some people just don't like it, but he probably was too busy during the day and the night. And he came up by asking people, and it ended up with Matty and me being the host because I was interested in doing that. Again, before the stream, we talked about how good it is to be in the audience and to enjoy live music. And I thought, well, when I'm the host, I can have the easiest job of the whole evening by just announcing the people, announcing the performers, or talking about the schedule or something, and then sit down in the audience and enjoy the music and still be working at the same time.
Hmm.
That's the tricky part. And
Right.
this is where I said, well, I want to do this. Um, and I'm so lucky that I'm having Matty with me on stage because, like I always say, he's the one who prepared. I'm the one who's just there. And together we hopefully are good hosts. I mean, he's a brilliant one. I know this. I listen to what he says on stage, of course. But I think that both of us do a decent job, I would say.
Yeah, I can corroborate that. I mean, you both look so natural on stage, and I imagine it helped that you have done stage performances in the past as a musician, but being comfortable enough with the stage to be able to banter with different people, and Maddie, as you were saying, and then build up to the next guest as the night went along. That's pretty cool. Like, I'm glad you enjoyed the experience, and I'm glad that went well. And and I mean, are you looking forward to hopefully doing this again next year?
I would totally be up to be the host again. But the thing is, it's not about having stage fright or something. It's so easy to host these kinds of events because most of the people I see in the audience are people that I watch on Twitch or know from Twitch at least, making this event some kind of living room concert in a way. Okay, there might be 60 or 80 or even many more people sitting there, but after all, everybody knows everybody else, and then you have this kind of familiar feeling during the event. And this makes hosting and hopefully performing as well totally easy. And I know that even people who performed live in front of an audience for the first time, they didn't suffer from stage fright too much. Of course, they were a bit nervous, but when they were on stage and started playing, started singing, things went smoothly most of the time, I would say. I can't actually remember a case where people had to restart or so because they realized, oh wow, it's simply like streaming, like playing music in front of a camera,
Right,
but
right.
with having all the guys I know from chat, all the people in front of me. And this familiar feeling, I guess, helped many people to actually find an easy way to performing.
That's a great point. You know, the fact that the people in the audience are people you already know and you even hang out with in chat or you see them on stream, that will definitely help your comfort being on stage and doing music. Um and actually it creates a lot of good chemistry in general. Like especially when it came to collabs, I saw people like I'm not sure how many of these were planned or how many of these were unplanned, but to see people just jump up on stage and play with other people at the same time and then come together to do different songs, like I think that's one of my favorite things about any of these collabs is that magic can happen too. So definitely felt like a jam session in a lot of ways, but since you were familiar with everybody in the audience, I think it does create a really good vibe altogether. So it's really good that you mentioned. It's a really good point, really good point. And I think we could see that chemistry with everybody knowing each other and getting along with each other on the stream. And I was very impressed with the technical production level, the video production level of the event. I mean, did it surprise you how well it was produced in terms of lighting and cameras and internet quality and everything that went with it?
Internet quality maybe is something we can discuss, but everything else that you mentioned, I knew for sure that it would be great because luckily a lot of people in the Twitch communities do this for a living. They are complete professionals, and you see that they know what they're doing. They see the gear, they know which buttons to press, and then you get this feeling of security because you know they will handle the job as they should. It will work. Everything will be fine. And most of the time, the net connection is the crucial and somehow wobbly part because you never know, well, is it going to work? Is it going to be stable? This is something that we can't really control. It just works or it's a bit of a mess. And everything else, like the camera people that we had at the events, in in Harlem for the showcase, those were the people from the venue. And I thought it was brilliant that the venue actually has their own people to work the cameras. And when the team says what the idea behind or what they have, what kind of idea they have for the camera work, then they will do it accordingly. And that went more or less well, I would say, at least from my point of view. Um, but I'm not so professional that I watch the cameras all the time. I mean, that's the best example. The camera's up there and I'm always looking at the monitor. Um, but still, I had this feeling that, of course, there is the time that you somehow plan, but you never know. Well, will everybody be there on time, or
Right.
will some people arrive later because of delays or something? This is something that just happens during the day of setting up the stuff, but it worked well most of the time. There weren't many moments where I thought, oh, now the whole event could somehow fall apart. Actually, not. We knew what we had to do, and by we, I mean the whole team that was involved. People setting up the stage, people taking care of the performers, and everybody else working at the doors, and maybe even taking care of catering or what else, what not. I don't know. There's so much happening, but it is happening and it's happening well. And this is the most important part. Still, this goes back to Maker Place, who organizes all
Yeah,
of this. And
absolutely.
being part of the planning team or the staff um, shows how much work goes in there because the 2 months before the event are really no fun from the outside view at least, but still Maker is a total professional doing this.
There's no doubt.
And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's just I am surprised. I mean, I sometimes prepare events in Cologne for electronic music with a few friends, and we have to share the roles. But Maker Place has all of this in one person and doing such a great job. And this is what I'm impressed about most, because I would completely lose track of all the things that need to be done, every progress in little steps in different areas and whatnot, booking the instruments, booking the venue, getting all the people and doing the tasks that are in between there, and then coming up with even additional stuff like working on the design for the website, the dedicated one that we have, or working on the design for the tickets, the stage passes, and even the merch stand that he came up with. Where I thought, how does he have enough time during the day to get this done between all the other stuff that he's doing and
Right.
having a full-time day job?
Right.
He's just totally impressive.
A brilliant mind in so many ways. These it's all you've made some great points. Like Rocker's organizational skills are exceptional. Like the ability to have the vision to put this all together. I can't ever make enough of a point of that because a lot of people would love to put festivals together like that, but you need to be able to organize the ins and outs of how it's done. You have to find the right people to recruit. He found yourself and Maddie to be the hosts. I mean, he got to know both of you, or they got to know both of you on stream, and you picked up the idea that this would work. And same scenario, finding the venue, as you said, like the venue had their own staff to produce like the lighting and the cameras, and this saves a lot of stress because you have people who already know how to do the things instead of like trying to figure out yourself. Like it might cost a little more, but it seems like it was completely worth it. And Mocker also found a place that seemed to have a really good price point on top of everything else. It wasn't cheap, I understand that, but considering what they did, it felt like the goal the goal to like there's like a fundraiser goal to establish the IRL streamer showcase and pay for everything. I really thought that was going to be much higher, like 3 times as high as it was. So it just goes to show you, like, not only like organizing the time, scheduling the guests, coordinating. Because I think, did Mocker contact everybody individually? Like, did Mocker like go and reach out to all the people who were on stage? Because that's wild. That's wild.
Um, he did the main part or the majority of those people. He simply talked to them and
Yeah.
tried to find out who would be willing to get there, who would be willing to travel there. And sometimes it's difficult, especially when people are from overseas. Um, and sometimes I simply said, Mark, I can check for some people and ask them if they would be able to do this, mostly the European based ones, because
Right. 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 Right.
there it's just most of the time getting a plane ticket or just a train ticket or something like this and then getting there. But still, he did such a huge chunk of all the tasks that were happening or had to be done beforehand.
Sure.
And sometimes it was just hoping that it would work because Matty and I mean, I know Matty for a long time, mostly from Natalie Holmes' channel, who streamed some years ago and is now a performing artist, basically,
Right. Right.
luckily. And I thought, okay, I know that Matty's a very knowledgeable guy who knows a lot about the whole Twitch community, the music community. So I'm sure that he will do a great job and that the vibe will be good between us so that we can have this kind of stage dynamic that's going on with him having all the information and knowledge and me having the bad puns, I guess. Um, but still, this was something that I knew or that both of us knew that would work. And Mark certainly was sure about this as well. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given us this task. And I guess that it was the same with most people.
Right.
Some had to grow to find their stage personality or organizational personality or something. But I was very impressed at how well this went because I know events or I knew some events or attended some events that weren't organized as well. And then you had those constant the constant troubleshooting during the event behind the scenes or even in front of stage because something wasn't working right.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark was able to prepare everything in such a great way that we didn't have any issues that brought the event to a full stop.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. And all of us watching on the other side of the other side of the world, seeing that we definitely didn't notice anything major in terms of, and we've all seen other live events and things would happen. They'd have to stop down a show for about 5 to 10 minutes because something didn't get connected or the microphones weren't working. So it's not uncommon. So to see minimal amounts of that is really a high mark on the amount. Mark, a high mark on. I can give myself a. I can do puns too.
Oh, yeah, I need to bring it up, and here we go.
Yay! Bad pun. I've. I'm gonna call that a win. But no, I think you said it great. It was an incredible event, and we're looking forward to future versions of that event, or maybe even spin-offs of the event to come in the days in between. So let's talk a little bit about your music. Before we get to random questions, I'd love to field questions from all of you in the chat. But first, let's chat about your latest release. I understand one of the cuts from the album Time Stands Still, which by the way is linked in the chat. Give it a go if you have time in your day. I recommend it. This is a cut called Lost in the Current. Before I play a little bit of it, what are some of the things you remember about making this particular cut?
It's interesting because this album happened more or less by accident. What I do is when I have a Twitch stream, I always record every track separately so that I have multi tracks to work with after stream or the days and weeks after the performances, just to have the things that I play on stream because I think that the things I play on stream are very close to what I would come up with in a recording session or on stage or so. And the first 2 years, maybe we're just finding a proper direction, testing out things, and fine tuning stuff. But after this first time, uh, after starting streaming regularly, then I realized, okay, those stream gems are really worth something. And the album was released in 2024, last year, I think. Um, and I thought, okay, now's the time where the level of my music is at a point where I think it's ready to be released in one form or another. And the three tracks on the album are from the same recording session. It was a stream, you can find it on YouTube somewhere. And all I did was simply cut off the rough edges and doing some fade ins and fade outs. And this is basically the music that happened in the stream that you can hear on the album. Fine tuned, mixed properly, of course, because the stream mix is actually the sum that you hear on stream isn't the same that I have in the studio. Strangely enough, I don't know why. Maybe it's an OBS thing or so. Um, but still, I think this shows what happens on stream just in the same way as it shows what my music would be like in a regular recording session.
Okay,
And that
okay,
also means that the music that you hear is most of the time improvised.
that is so cool. And sometimes you can have things can like a live session or a jam session or a stream can give you some really good material. And here is some of that material. This is called Lost in the Current. Yeah, this is really coming together. Like, this sounds really,
I hope it does.
yeah. It just sounds like something you could put into a movie soundtrack, you know? Like even a modern movie soundtrack, I think would really find a good. It definitely reminded me of like movies and just like intense moments, or as you know, calling of this Lost in the Current. It's like, yes, like you're in the woods, you're trying to find your destination, or you're trying to find your friends or your family, and this is like the search to find them.
It's interesting that you describe it this way because I can totally get why this kind of music has this soundtrack appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, or mostly because back in the day when this music came up at the end of the 70s and the beginning of the 80s, especially by Tangerine Dream, many filmmakers realized, wow, this really works well to create suspense and to sound differently than a classically
Yeah.
recorded soundtrack or a classical soundtrack. I mean, those have hit potential as well. Just check out Star Wars. I mean, that's the classic of all classics, I would say.
Yep.
But this kind of music worked really well, and especially the mindset of the 80s somehow pushed this into this direction. Just think of Terminator. The soundtrack needs to be cold synthesizer music.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
wouldn't work with something like orchestral stuff or so.
Right.
And something that certainly helped to make this kind of music more popular was Stranger Things, the series. And it's interesting that the guys behind the series actually said, well, our soundtrack was inspired by Tangerine Dream, the German band from the 70s.
Wow.
And somehow the circle closes, and all of a sudden, I was one of the guys who was creating such kind of music, and then people said, wow, it sounds like Stranger Things.
That's amazing. They're like, wow, you make music
That's
like Stranger
deeply-
Things. Like, well, I mean, I've been doing this before.
Sometimes I tease the theme of Stranger Things during a stream, but I think, no, I can do better than that. I mean, not better in a musical sense, but I can play my own stuff. I don't need to cover songs that are just famous and on a fashion wave or something, on a popularity wave. Nevertheless, it's a great theme song,
Yeah.
and the series itself is amazing with all the
Yeah.
ideas behind it and the action that happens, and the music just underlines this and somehow adds even more. It's so interesting. I mean, I'm not a filmmaker, but having simple shots and letting the music add the suspension and the tension, this is something that a good filmmaker and of course a good composer can create. Like Hans Zimmer, for example, one of the shining stars of the industry.
Yeah.
Sometimes the filmmakers that he works with on a regular basis don't even need to tell him where they want which kind of piece. They simply show him the movie or show him scenes from the movie, and then he comes up with a musical idea, and they said exactly like this.
Wow.
On the point, nailed it. And Chris, good to see you. The Brewdog hype is real. Chris and I have a great history of visiting bars in foreign cities,
Is
but
that
that's a
right?
different story.
Well, let me say hello to
Chris
Half
is a
Pint Carry
very
as
cool
well.
guy.
Like our good friend Half Pint Carry, we've had with our community for forever and ever and ever. So good to see you, Carrie. Welcome in, and lovely to have you back with us as well. So you both have been bar hoppers for a time, like whenever you're in different towns. Hmm?
I think that Chris, like he mentions, there's this chain of franchise Brewdog, or it must be a chain, I guess, and he's one of the shareholders, if I remember correctly. And this is how somehow,
Ooh.
I don't know if you can call it a meme or so. There is one of those Brewdog bars in Rotterdam. Yeah, I think it was Rotterdam, right? And we met there with a lot of other people. Maker Place was there as well. And that was the starting point of the Brew Dogs. Basically, the somehow unofficial group that we have, where we simply meet up and go out during the Twitch events or during the showcase events. Mostly after the events, just to cool down somehow.
Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Brew dogs. So if I remember, if I
and
will. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
just a bad pun for Chris because that's a nice one.
We're due rebrew. We're due a re. Wait. We're due a rebrunion. That's my.
Ooh,
I use that button for bad puns. So that's my
good
version of bad
choice.
pun emote. I give people a ding. I do love that emote. It's really- it has a great usage at Twitch. Like you will use that emote many times throughout the course of the year. But Chris, it's really good to see you. By the way, welcome in. It's nice to have you here. We've seen you on stage as well over at the IRL Streamers Showcase. We talked about that earlier in our podcast. Pun. Wait, what does that say? Pun. Loy. Gary, I love that pun. That emote as well. Please. Oh, that's what it said.
Oh,
That's so good.
oh.
It's wonderful to have Gary back with us. I'm sorry I ate my sandwich so fast, but I had an egg and cheese sandwich on sourdough, and it was unbelievable. It was really good.
Yeah.
Mr. X might still have some of his sandwich with him. I'm not sure though, but
I still have it. I mean, I'm shy of taking a bite because I'm talking all the time, and chewing just adds
mhm.
to stuff that people sometimes don't like that much, like the mukbang ASMR I mentioned earlier.
Right.
Um, but something else that I wanted to say, because you mentioned the song title, and it's so interesting because recording music is one thing, but something that I find very important and I'm also struggling with sometimes is to find good song titles, because unlike songs with lyrics, where the lyrics maybe give a hint how the song could be named and titled, when you have instrumental music, it's not that obvious. And I've been discussing about this with a lot of musical peers that I have, and asked them, well, how do you choose a song title? And we're not talking about just naming it piece number one or something like this. That's too easy. Um, and I have a list of song titles actually, and it's really just a plain list with many possible song titles. And when a song is finished, then I go and check out the atmosphere, maybe even think what kind of scenery lies behind the song, and then I choose a song title that fits this kind of image. And
Okay.
it's interesting that you said this song reminds you of a scene where somebody is finding somebody else, maybe running through a forest or so. Um, I totally didn't have something like that in mind when I recorded the song and mixed and produced the song. It was just something that I thought about 80s action movies, with those maybe a scene where somebody chases somebody else, and that might be the connection of having this kind of, yeah, fast action, something happening there, somebody trying to find somebody else, and then we can combine both of the images that we had in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I mean, between the two ideas, it just definitely gives you, as you said, suspense and drama and excitement. And so and said thanks for the shout out as well. I appreciate that as well. I think this is I want to double check on Patty and Chelsea, but Patty and Chelsea, thank you so much for the follow. I hope I didn't miss you earlier. But um I would, before we get into random questions, this is where we get to take questions from the chat and they can ask you about anything, including music or other things. I would like to first pick your brain and see how much you might know the might know certain artists. You might have seen them in concert. You probably listened to them in the past, perhaps. So what I'm going to do, we're going to do some quick trivia tonight, and in the trivia, first I'm going to change your name to Mr. X because that is your name. So let me go take care of that. But I'm going to give you the title of an album. And the question then would be, can you identify the artist that did this album? So if you give me a moment here, I'll get the scoreboard up for you.
Yeah,
Uh,
just
ew, what the heck? Wrong one. It's
let me get my stream set up properly and doing something that's important, but that will ruin the number.
let me see this one. There we go. Got it. Do. And now it's back. Unfortunately, no, not yet, not yet. But maybe next time. Let me see. That was funny. Is it this one? Yes, it is. Okay, very good. Oh my goodness! Thank you for your resub with the carrots. I appreciate you, Mr. X. You're very kind for the 3 months. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you. All right, so let's do some trivia. Good luck. Let's see how many of these 10 albums you can identify the band for or the artist for. Okay, here we go. Eve, let's sub hype. Let's go. Trivia, let's go. Oh, absolutely. We're excited about trivia. Here we go. All right, good luck. So I'm going to give you, like I said, I'm going to give you an album title. Can you tell me what artist or group did this album? All right, number 1, Autobahn.
Kraftwerk.
Absolutely. Had a good feeling about that one. All right, 1 point for Mr. X. I feel like you'll get this one too. Here we go. In the Wake of Poseidon.
Should I let chat decide? Because I know who made this album.
Let's see if the chat knows. Anyone in chat want to take a guess who that is? I had a good feeling you would, so I'm familiar with you. We just talked about them actually earlier in the stream as well. Let's see if the chat knows who. So who did? My default guess is Mr. X. Good guess. But does anyone else have a guess? In the Wake of Poseidon,
I wish I did this album. But
Anyone else? Anyone else? Chris, Carrie, Ryan, anyone? All right.
if Chris knows this, then I know what we're talking about when we meet up next time.
That's gonna be great content. We have nopes across the board from the chat. Okay. So,
Yeah.
Mr. X?
King Crimson.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nailed it. I think you'll get the third one too. Here we go. Violator.
I hope that chat knows this one, because it's been a fairly popular album, but I think maybe some people in chat are too young for this one.
Chat, do you know? I feel like at least a couple people would know. Violator. I feel like if I give the year, it'll give it away. So I will not give the year, but Violator is a pretty big one. I think a lot of people have heard it, or at least heard one song from the album. That I know.
I would think so too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very good album. Really good. Great group. Rain says, I am struggling to think of good joke answers. We might actually have Rain this time. Carrie says, I feel like I should know. Yes, Carrie, I believe you've heard it.
I'm very sure that all of the people in chat have heard this one particular song.
Yep. One particular song. And it might have been their biggest chart hit, too.
I think so too.
80s.
Oh.
You got the 80s part right. I wouldn't say metal.
Yeah, 80s is correct. It would be interesting if it was metal.
Yeah.
I tried to avoid giving serious answers. I said that at school a lot.
I wonder if Ryan might know.
For a moment, I thought Streamer.
Oh, there we go. Carrie got it. Okay, so Mr. X, shall we?
Yeah.
Depeche Mode. Yes. Carrie gets it, and I knew you knew it. I didn't even need to get the response because. Oh, you saw them not too long ago. Nice, Carrie. That's awesome.
Ooh.
They're still great. That's amazing. I'm glad you got to see them. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, Depeche Mode is one of those bands that I haven't seen live yet.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, it sounds like it's not too late, so that's the nice thing about it. Carrie says Davey knows me well. I do. All right. So here comes another question. I'm gonna let you answer this one first because I feel like this might be a little tougher for the chat, but I feel like you would have a good handle on it. Okay, number 4. Brain salad surgery.
This is like asking for my name, basically. Yeah. This is, of course, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. 1973.
Yep.
And fun fact about this album, because the album cover was made by H.R. Geiger, or Giger, or how you pronounce it in England, or in English, the guy who created the alien monster from the 79 film and the franchise. Like Alien, Aliens, and then Alien
really?
3, Alien vs. Predator. Yes, he
Wow.
created this cover. And if you look closely, you can actually see the resemblance between those dark imageries and the monster that was created later on.
That's fascinating. I do have that album in the I have that album over in the shelf somewhere around here. I'm gonna look at that after stream. That's really cool. Okay, you're right. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And yeah, the alien with the egg, with like the egg, like on the poster. The original movie was really cool. I never knew that. That's really cool. All right. Next one. I feel like you'll get this one, but this won't be quite as obvious. But let's see if the chat gets it. So I'll let the chat throw in their guesses, and then Mr. X, if you have it, you can share too. Okay, number 5. Selling England by the pound. And just to refresh everybody, the topic is famous synthesizer records. So records that featured the synthesizer prominently. Popular synthesizer records.
I think it's like you checked out my Spotify before.
May well no. I didn't, but but obviously I did a pretty good job then, so, but you know what I did though? I did read your like bio, which I think definitely gave me some ideas for like some of these. Yeah. Rain says the Parliamentaries. Nope.
Oh, but that's a nice pun, I would say. It's not a bad pun, but an actually nice pun.
Solid pun. Okay. Anyone else want to harbor a guess? You're welcome. Absolutely. Rain says thank you. If Steggy was here, Steggy would nail it easily.
Exactly, because Steggy and I talked about music that we like a lot, and he listens to all the stuff that I listen to as well.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I believe it too. Yeah. Because you mentioned prog rock, and I'm like, that's you and Steggy and yourself are like very much in the wheelhouse. And
oh, yes.
Yeah. King says if Steggy was here, Steggy would be screaming. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The question.
I would be chewing permanently, and then Steggy would leave in a second.
Outraged that the guess was not made in the first half a second. All right. I don't think the chat has it this one. Mr. X.
Yeah, it's Genesis. But to be fair, it's not one of the famous Genesis albums, because back then it was still the band with Peter Gabriel,
right.
But the pop hits came much later, of course.
Correct. Yep. Right. Not the most obvious choice for Genesis, because Peter Gabriel was a big artist, but the Peter Gabriel in Genesis was lesser known compared to what they were with Phil Collins for sure. Okay, so this gets a little bit tougher. All right, the next album. If anybody remembers this album, remember these are famous records featuring the synthesizer. Penthouse and Pavement. Penthouse and Pavement.
I have to pass.
Oh, wow. Okay. No problem. Let's see if anyone in chat gets it. So this is leaning more 80s. But very, very much the synthesizer is a part of this. Anyone?
I mean, I'm sure I know the artist, but the title doesn't ring a bell.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a total scam. No, it's the cover's blown.
No, it is not Playboy the Car Magazine band. Um. Okay. Rothgar, it's time for me to head. Have a great rest of the stream. Absolutely, Rothgar. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Appreciate
Take
you
care.
being part of this today. Yeah, rest well too. I'm glad your afternoon went well. Okay. I think we've spoken, so the answer is Heaven 17. Heaven 17.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know the band, but they're actually not that much on my playlist, I have to admit.
Yeah. A little different style, a little different groove. Yeah. Not so much prog, more dancey, I would say. So
Yeah.
all right, next number 7. I would not get this. So if that's a hint at all. Number 7 is Music for Airports.
Oh. This is actually the album that I listen to when I'm having a migraine and I just lie down and let the music play and then relax to this kind of music.
Mm-hmm. Anyone in chat? No? Okay, Mr. X, what is your guess?
It's Brian Eno.
You are right. That's well done. Up to 6 points. So, we have
Nice.
4 to go. 4 to
Boeing
go?
Disco
We have 3 to go. Boeing Disco Revolution. I was waiting for that answer because on my music for airport, I was like, what will Rain come up with for this one? Boeing Disco Revolution. I would buy that album. All right, next one. Okay. Now, I better see some responses from the chat on this one. This is a really, really obvious one. Okay. Rio. Oh, come. Chat. Chat. Rio. Her name is Rio, and she dances on the sand. Like, we don't...
Maybe people are too young in the audience and chat.
Rio Grande. No.
It's Ario Grande.
Oh, man.
But also the case with this album that everybody has heard one or another track from it, but probably never the whole album.
Oh,
Um,
that's probably right.
that's the curse of the hit single.
Very true. Very true. Very true. Like,
We
the...
have one.
Ah, we have a winner. Mr. X?
I mean the answer is in chat, so
Yeah, it is. Duran Duran. It is Duran Duran. Well done, King Dambreaker. But it's true. Like, I think there are some albums, like, all the individual songs from it, but you may not necessarily know what album it was from because you just heard them on the radio. That makes sense. Okay, number 9. I feel like most people would get this one, but again, it might be a case of depends on how old you are. Okay, Chariots of Fire soundtrack. Chariots of Fire.
again one of the songs actually that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Or has heard at least.
It's a little tricky because it's an instrumental song, because like not everyone would know that is the name of the song either, because like you just hear it and it's like, oh, it's the thing when everything's in slow motion, like yes, but okay, we have an answer. Yes, Vangelis.
Exactly.
That's it.
But I'm always wondering about this song because I think the song is much more popular and well known or better known than the actual film that it was part of.
Absolutely. That's true. I think a lot more people know the song than the movie. And the movie won a Best Picture in 1982, I think it was. But nevertheless, I'm not even sure people would even know it was from a movie. But it is, it's not that well known a movie for how big the song was. Rain says, I was going to ask, is that from the movie album? It is. It is. From the soundtrack of the film of the same name. And the entire soundtrack is really good. If you ever get a chance to listen to it sometime, like it's really good stuff. Okay, one more to come, and I think this is the same scenario that we just had with Rio. So here it comes. Dare. Would anyone have the act that made the album called Dare? Kind of a similar vein to what we were talking about earlier.
Interesting because it doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And it's okay. That's all right. I mean, oh, King got it. Wow.
Ooh.
King got it with its
Human
Human League. Oh, I'm sorry. That goes over here. Rain says, I was going to guess Angelus because I knew the composer's name was close to that. Yeah, you would have had it down to within one letter. That's really good, Rain. That's really good. But yeah, well done, King. Picked up a couple of those. And Mr. X, you got 8 out of 10. Let's go. That's really well done. That is phenomenal. Congrats.
Thank you so much. I know my music for a bit at least.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just picked up that album last week. Look at that, King. Isn't that cool?
Ooh.
That's a
Nice
fun one.
taste.
I concur. Very nice taste, King. Well done. I have the story behind the last song on the album, which just happened to be a #1 hit for them, called "Don't You Want Me," is a great story because they didn't even want to do the song, and they're like, "Well, you have to finish the album. There's like you need one more song," and they're okay, we'll put this on here, put it at the end, and they didn't care, and it ended up being the most popular song they've ever done. It's just funny how that works sometimes.
It's so strange that a lot of acts had this problem in the studio of not having enough material for the album. Same goes for actually Peter Gabriel's Soul album from '86.
Yep.
Because Sledgehammer was the very last song that they recorded, I think even on the last day in the studio.
Wow.
Most of the people were actually about to pack their instruments and pack their stuff and leave. But he said, no, we still need one track to get to the duration that we need for the album. I have this kind of soul music idea. And the rest is history.
Wow. Yeah, what a game-changing song and video. If you remember the music video for it. Incredible. Who would have guessed that?
And it's so interesting that Peter Gabriel actually kicked Genesis from the #1 spot in the charts because they had Invisible Touch on there.
Mhm.
The album Invisible Touch was released just a few months before So. And it's so interesting to see that they ruled the 80s pop music,
Yep.
while their 70s music, when Peter Gabriel was still in the band, was totally unpopular.
Oh, it's so funny. It is really funny how that worked out. Like both of them, between Phil Collins' solo work, Genesis' work, and Peter Gabriel's solo work, the cumulative works of the Genesis, the people of Genesis, like were huge on the pop chart. And yeah, I think their first chart hit in the singles chart, I think, was "Follow You, Follow Me," and that was like all the way at the end of the decade. It's like, and it wasn't even that big a hit, you know. So it just got bigger from there. It's such a interesting turn of events, and I do love So. So is a really good album. Like In Your Eyes is great. Like it's a really good.
It's so cool about Genesis because the band was always a 5-piece band, or most of the time.
Mhm.
Let's say 99% of the time. And you might know Mike and the Mechanics.
I do.
That's Mike
Mike
Rutherford,
Rutherford.
who's the bass player and guitar player in Genesis.
Right.
So when you check out all the hit singles during the 80s, especially looking at rock and pop, they're everywhere.
That was a mind-blowing
So
moment.
strange that this band from England actually has this huge impact on the 80s music scene, especially.
Yeah, you're right. And it's because it would have been at a point where they would have been maybe older, right? They would have been like in their 30s and 40s at that point. So it's like, it's funny that that's when more people found out about them. And they really did. Like between when I found out that Mike Rubin the Mechanics was Mike Rutherford, that blew my mind. That was only like 5 years ago. I figured that out. I'm like, wow, is that Mike? Like, that's really cool. Um, Pretty good stuff. Half Pint Carey says Peter Gabriel was amazing in person. Saw him years ago. Oh, I would have loved that. That's so cool. You got to see Peter Gabriel in concert. I know he does a great job live.
I was lucky enough to even talk to Peter Gabriel once,
Really?
because I've been to many concerts of his, but also I found out that he had some kind of listening session to one of the albums that he curated. It's called Big Blue Ball from
Mm-hmm.
2008, I think, and it features multiple artists, and he has 3 or 4 songs on there, and then there are other people with their songs. It's an interesting concept. It was based on a big jam session they had at his Real World Studios in the 90s. And like Peter Gabriel always says, he takes a little longer until he can finish stuff. It was only released in 2008, and he had a few listening sessions all across Europe. And one of them was in the city of Aachen, not too far from where I live. Actually, I work in that city. And it was so cool to attend the event and then to talk to him afterwards because, like Carrie says, he's a super nice person, very friendly, and totally not the star kind of type that you would maybe imagine or so. It's
Oh
just a
wow.
normal guy.
That's really cool to hear. I'm glad to hear that people are down to earth when, especially somebody of that stature, like you said. Like it makes it so much cooler to to talk to someone like that. So that's lovely. I love that. Uh, what a warm heart indeed. So, folks, now we're going to give you the floor to ask questions of our friend Mr. X in what we would like to call our favorite moment in Twitch broadcasting.
Do the dance. It's time for random questions. Great stuff. Ask us anything.
All right, let's do it. So to ask a question of Mr. X, use exclamation point question followed by the question itself. I would like to remind folks we have two goals that are running this month. The sub goal is the Chipathon stream, which means we will try all sorts of a large assortment of different types of snack chips, and you can get that with 29 more subs this month. Obviously, no rush to that. And for 5,000 bits, if we reach the 5,000 bit goal, I will write a song about Mocker plays. So if you so
Everybody needs to do this because he's such a great person.
that'd be
Totally
amazing.
not sponsored.
That's fun. There's just so much. There's so much lyrical material we can go with Mocker plays. So I would be most delighted to do this, and you can make it happen by meeting the 5,000 bit goal. Their emotes are great. Oh, that's so good. Um, okay, so the first question is from our good friend Half Pint Carey, who, by the way, oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. Carrie asks, "What is the first genre of music that really molded who you are today?" I think it's the one we talked about in the beginning, but feel free to share that with us for Carrie's question.
Actually, the first genre that really pushed me into a certain direction musically, I would say um, probably hard rock, because starting to listen to Deep Purple was a bit of a game changer in the very early days
Mm-hmm.
when I knew nothing about music. I only knew the stuff that was played on the radio, and uh, yeah. Then one time while I was driving with my dad in his car, it was of course Deep Purple Smoke on the Water that was playing, and that was one of those key points where I thought this music is different than the contemporary stuff that we are listening to, or the 80s stuff, for example. I mean, I grew up in the 90s, so a lot of 80s music was still popular back then. But the sound of that song, and it's one of the biggest hits of all time, but still the sound is so different, and you can really hear it. There's a focus on music, on different segments, not just verses and the chorus and something like this. They really try to find their own way and create their own kind of style, because actually Deep Purple was one of those bands that somehow helped to invent heavy metal. Well, nobody would really say, well, Deep Purple is a heavy metal band. Still, the guitar and organ interplay has some kind of heaviness that wasn't there before and that not really has happened ever since. John Lord, who sadly died, the keyboard player from Deep Purple, um, he had some kind of heavy impact on the usage of Hammond, the Hammond organ sound in popular music or in rock music, I would say.
That's a good call. That's a good call on that because it is, you would think of the Hammond organ now as synonymous with rock, but that was not a given. And I imagine before that it might have been more of like a gospel instrument or an instrument of jazz. It's a really interesting point. Like I've never really considered that. Like it probably wasn't always tied in with rock and roll. Yeah.
I mean, just this note because it's a technical aspect. Most of the time, a Hammond organ would be run into a Leslie speaker. I mean, those huge wooden cabinets where you have two different parts. One are those circling horns that create this vibrato sound, and then the speaker in the bottom part, and it just looks like some kind of old furniture. This was the standard Hammond sound that everybody knows. And John Lord had this different idea, not only because those Leslie speakers are heavy and you always need at least two people to move it around.
Yeah, yeah.
He wanted to have some kind of counterpart to Richie Blackmore's heavy guitar sound, so he sent his Hammond organ through a Marshall amplifier, creating this kind of distorted organ sound that actually nobody has ever done before. And this way he could match the guitar on the same level because back then guitar would always be superior in the mix because of the dynamics of the guitar, the loudness in itself, the distortion that some amplifiers bring, while the Hammond organ always had this kind of dreamy or sometimes cheesy sound in the background that we all know. Not that gospel sound is cheesy, but there the Hammond organ has a very classic role of just having some kind of background leading back to Baroque music, of course, because of the religious parts, but just to give a little more input on this idea. And actually, I read about that even more, I think, earlier today, and it's cool that this information comes in handy now.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I've never even considered the idea of we talk about guitars and how they can be changed based on the amplifiers they use all the time. Never even considered that with organs. Like that's kind of right. And like a rotary organ has like a spinning like horn or something like that that makes it go whoa. It adds vibrato to the organ. Like that's a part of it too. Like who would have guessed that the mechanics of the speaker would actually affect how the organ sounds? Like that's just interesting. That's a very interesting tangent. Yeah. Carrie says, "Thank you, Mr. X, for answering." Yeah, thank you for the question, Carrie. That was a great question.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yeah. So let me go to Rain's question next, and then I have a question after that. So Rain's question is, I'm going to sing this. What element of music have you not used much that you would like to experiment with more in the future?
Nice improvised song there.
Thank you. Thank you.
There is a lot of ground that I haven't covered yet because given I'm focused on electronic music right now, I do want to have some kind of band sound going in the future. But it's always a matter of finding people and finding time to rehearse and also find a rehearsal space. But I have ideas for at least a trio featuring, of course, keyboards and also a drummer and a bass player. But I would also like to have a guitar player in this kind of band. Not to go into this Pink Floyd direction, but just to find out where this band and whoever might play in this band would take the sound. I mean, with this kind of band, you could have multiple directions ranging from jazz stuff to experimental stuff to classic rock and hard rock and whatnot, or even more elaborate things like Pink Floyd or Hawkwind. Um, and this is something that I would really like to try because playing by myself gives the music a certain touch, and it's only me who has to run the show. But the interplay inside a band and inside a group actually is what make things even more interesting, in my opinion, because you have to rely on the other people. You have to step back from your melodies and the music making, and you really have to find a way to work with all those people. It's not just that everybody knows the chords and the drummer counts in and then the things go on. At least that isn't what I want to achieve. I want to see that all the parts that everybody brings there
Yeah, yeah.
create something that's even more than just the sum of those parts.
And that's kind of the magic of a band, right? Like, when you see the parts come together, and then the chemistry that forms from that, it's pretty cool. Like, and so that's a great answer. Thank you very much for answering that, Mr. X, and thank you, Rain, for the question. A couple comments. Let me go back to King's comment. We need all Twitch musicians on the song about Mocker, like they did for the song "We Are the World." See that? I think that makes it even better. Yeah. So we're only 5,000 bits away from that, from all of that happening, friends. So every bit counts. So we appreciate you. That's so funny. Let me get this from Jazzy Ukami, who says, "Hi, glad to make a stream. I'm baking and cooking for fam while I watch. Got pork butt in the smoker. Working on chocolate chip cheesecake, cookies, and apple peanut butter blondies after a long day at the farmer's market." Well, Jazzy, thank you for checking in. I was not, I did not completely wasn't completely following the entire thing in the beginning, but I understand now that you are making the stream as you cook. So thank you so much for hanging out. So we appreciate you being here. Thanks for popping in. And if you want to chat about anything, if you want to ask a question of either me or Mr. X, you can use !question and add your question to the chat. So speaking of food, I got a question for you, Mr. X. Here it is. Okay. Now this is going to be an interesting question to ask at your current hour, which I think is close to now 11 o'clock where you are.
Yes.
But with that being said, the question is: pancakes, waffles, French toast, or crepes?
I would say waffles.
Okay.
I mean, waffles and crepes are almost on the same level, but I still prefer waffles a bit more. Pancakes, I have a special relationship to pancakes because I don't really like the sweet kind of pancakes, or the pancakes where you would add fruit or something like this, something sweet. I prefer pancakes that are more spicy. Like, for example, you put bacon in there, you put herbs in there, this kind of stuff, which gets close to an omelette when you just close it or flip it to close it. Um, and French toast, interestingly enough, it's not that much of a big deal in Germany, at least not in the part where I live. And I don't even know if I ever had French toast. Certainly not the kind of French toast that you serve in the US.
Yeah, we've had a lot of opinions on it. I would urge you. I would definitely recommend trying it. And when you do, let us know what you think, because I feel like people have been on both sides of it. Some people love it, some people don't love it, and I think there are people in between. But I do hope you get to try it someday. It's an interesting one for sure. It does seem like more of a creation of the U.S. than of France, if that makes any sense, because I think we talked with recently about that on a previous stream. But waffles, it is. We've marked you down for waffles. Super cool. And waffles have been chosen 32 times since October 2021. So waffles is
I could say that's what the W is for, but that's not true.
I will say your logo is great. It reminds me of the Volkswagen logo, which I imagine is intentional, but it's a pretty cool logo. Like
And it's interesting because the logo that you see was created by DJ Dowie, because he had this idea. I mean, of course, I drive a Volkswagen, as some Germans do,
right.
and somehow Dowie and I talked about logo ideas and what would make sense, and I thought, well, I don't know if it was me who came up with the idea or if he suggested this, but he had this really detailed way of making it work and adding the actual font that is on the original Beetle. And I thought that was amazing. And I said, that's the logo that I need. And if they sue me, then I would just escape to the USA or so. But I think I even have it in here as an emote.
I was
Yeah,
gonna look
there
it
we
up on
go.
Google, but if you have it, oh, there you go, there you go. If you see it, you can see it in the you can see it in the chat. I'm gonna double check and see if there is.
And I see Azza in there, also one of those really, really cool community supporters
Yeah.
who makes things happen.
Absolutely. Ozzy also has hosted a. Oh, I found the logo. I found your logo. Okay, hold on a sec. I'm gonna go put this on screen so everybody else can see it. Specifically, people watching the VOD can see this. Oz, it's so good to see you. Mods, can we shout out Oz Inspirator? I hope you're doing all right. It's been a minute. It's lovely to have you here. Okay, so Mr. X, here's your logo. Yeah, that just looks so good. Like you said, it mirrors the Beetle, the Volkswagen logo on the Beetle. That's really cool. Like, it is interlocking and everything. Oz, this is good to see you both. What an awesome story about the logo. Yeah, that's a really cool story, Mr. X. That's pretty cool. And big props to DJ Joey for making it.
I need to put it on a T-shirt. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's funny because the one I'm wearing now, this X logo,
Mm-hmm.
maybe some people from the US might know this because I didn't know it before. I was just looking for logos that work somehow and that hopefully don't have any copyright. And
I think I know what that
this
is.
is the logo that was used in the 70s for rated X films.
That's it. Yeah. I was if that yeah, so when there were movies that were even more adult than rated R, they would give it rated X. There were not a lot of them, but that's what the logo looked like. Yeah. It's so interesting.
This is just like my music, only for people who really know the dirty stuff.
So you get down and dirty with your music too.
It's nothing shorter than 20 minutes.
Oh, that's great. Let's see. And a cap hat. Yeah, a cap with the logo would be pretty fresh. Like you can walk around.
Mhm.
People might just buy for the logo. They wouldn't even know you're about your music. They just like they like the logo so much, you know. And then eventually they'll look up your name, and then they will find the music, which is available on Bandcamp and right at the link in the chat that you see posted above. Oh, have a good one, Carrie. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate your question too. Have a good rest of your Saturday.
Carrie, take care.
Take it easy.
Take care, Carrie, and see you soon.
Yeah. I like that you put that X in the chat though. So that's one of your emotes as well. Solid.
Yeah, it's just the cheapest solutions, but somehow they work best. I mean, it's like with the bad pun emote. I do have different kinds of these emotes in that style. And the story behind it is that I thought when I was affiliated some years ago, okay, now I need emotes. But I wasn't too keen about those fancy figure emotes that some people have or the standard emotes that Twitch offers. And I didn't have the idea of those logos yet. So I thought, okay, let's make it text based. Trying to find texts that work in this small space. And I found a website, totally simple website, where you just enter text and then it creates a PNG file. And that's the story behind those simple emotes. And they seem to work.
Well, and the biggest thing about an emote like that is it's easy to read, and especially in small font. So that's what makes that very, very effective. And red font, easy to read, you know.
Works on white background, works on black background,
Mhm.
and then we have it.
Yep.
Whoever uses Twitch in the bright mode, I mean, those people really.
I agree. I was just like, get your life right and switch to dark mode. Unless you really like night mode, then that's fine. But I definitely prefer dark mode. Trying to make word emotes can be hard. Oh, I can imagine. That would be a real challenge. Ozzy, yeah. Ozzy, do you have any questions for Mr. X tonight? We would love to take them. You can ask them in the chat or use exclamation point question followed by the question itself. This will be our last call for questions. So anybody else with a question, throw it on in. And we'll take them to finish the show. Let's see. Rain with a question. If there was one thing you became famous for outside of music, what would you want it to be?
Hmm. I mean, I tried to be a scientist, but that didn't really work out that well. Out of numerous reasons that I don't want to talk about now. Nothing bad, but simply things didn't really work out. Um, but it's simple. Apart from the music, which still is my main goal to be known for, I would say people just need to remember me as a nice guy. It's very difficult when you're German, but still, it's a goal that I have.
That's a great goal. And you can make a great legacy for being nice. Mr. Rogers over here in the States was phenomenal at that in his day. So
I got to know Mr. Rogers through Twitch actually, because he isn't really popular or known in Germany.
mhm,
But getting to know him and the things that he had to say and had to talk about or did talk about, I found it really, really great that this wasn't just something for kids, but also adults could really learn something from that.
that's true.
Something we need today even more than back in the day, I would say.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question about it. He set a good example for all humanity to follow. No easy thing either. You know, I've watched some documentaries on Fred Rogers, and it's like they would get into like how much of a challenge it was even then. Like so, even more so today, I'm sure. Um, let's see. So that was from Rain. Another good question, Rain. Thank you. So let's go to King's question. Yes. So King's question is: you said at the beginning of stream, you mentioned that concerts were the thing you do the most. What was the last concert you attended, and what did you think about it?
Um, the last one I attended was in the city of Bonn. It is a band called Hattler, and it's named after the actual band leader. He's a bass player, Helmut Hattler, known from a German jazz rock band called Kran. I don't think that they are known outside of Germany that much, even though that Hattler himself has worked with Tina Turner. Um, but it's a four-piece band: singer, bass player, guitar player, and drummer. And how would I describe their music? It's jazzy in a way. It's a bit dance poppy, I would say. A little bit of funk in there. Difficult to describe because the studio music sounds much different from that what they played live. Interesting ways that they presented the music, drifting off in long jams that didn't end up in random noodling, but that always kept the dancey spirit of the music in there. I was very surprised because I didn't expect this kind of music after listening the studio tracks or after listening to the studio tracks. So
Interesting.
it was a great concert. Yeah, it's always nice to hear music that really gets on another level when it's performed live.
Oh yeah, I think it's a marvelous thing to have to see concerts from acts that are a little bit under the radar, as you described, and that does create a really good experience. It's kind of a little less. I mean, the expectations might be. I mean, one, it's like sometimes it's less expensive, but but also because they're not as well known, like the hype won't be too ridiculous. So it's definitely cool to find that, and you know, when you're in a good area for music, it's really cool to have access to musical acts like that. So I'm glad that went well for you. That's really cool.
But there are more aspects to that. I read about this some days ago because when you have big acts, well known bands, well known musicians, then there is a lot of stuff happening in the background with all the organization of the concerts, setting up the gear, setting up the PA system, and all this kind of stuff. Maybe even press that is around that you have to talk to up front or before the show and after the show, maybe. And you have to work perfectly in there as a musician as well. You have to know when it's stage time. You have to be strict with your set list. You really have to check the time, and it has to be perfect, basically. Whereas those smaller bands that maybe even have just one audio guy with them or audio girl, depending on who it is, maybe somebody who cares about the lights, maybe somebody who drives the cars or the transporter or something. And those smaller acts have to put everything they have into their music because they don't have a hit yet.
Mm-hmm.
People don't really know what to expect from those acts. Whereas the bands who have big hits, the audience expects the hits. If they play new stuff, oh, one of the new songs. If they play rare tracks, oh, one of those rare things that weren't hits. But the new acts, they really have to push forward and make a mark, really leave something that the audience can think about when they're leaving after the gig, so that they leave this kind of impression. And that is why those smaller acts, most of the time, give everything they have because they need to, they want to be well known, they want to have a name.
And the vibrancy of that is actually palpable. I've seen it too because I see a lot of local acts here in LA. Same scenario. It's like you I think they put more of themselves into their sets. Not to say that people go through the motions in the big acts. Don't get me wrong. Like there's plenty of passion in those acts too. Like you said, because of the weight of expectations, you got to play these songs that everybody knows. That every large act has that because especially like if you're just going to the concert and you only know like the radio hits, like that's probably what you're going to be expecting, even if you do like them enough where you would want to hear their relatively lesser known stuff, but you still want to hear the big hit, like so I totally understand. I totally see that. So Peter Gabriel is a good example. Like if Peter Gabriel is doing a concert next week, if that concert doesn't have Sledgehammer, there's going to be a riot. Like that needs to be in the set somewhere, right? So just there are many examples of that in popular music.
But here again, that's the point where Peter Gabriel sets himself apart from other artists, other hit artists, because the last time I saw him live, he didn't even have his new album out, I think, or it was just released a few days before. I'm not sure anymore, but still, he performed the whole thing live and only had very few hits. Of course, Sledgehammer was there, Salisbury Hill, but I think only 5 songs or so were previous songs or older songs, and the rest was the completely new album. He didn't give a shit about the expectations. He just said he likes to announce songs in German when he's performing in Germany, and he says, "Well, now you have to expect music that you don't know." Oh, I'm paraphrasing here,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just saying, "Well, you will be able to hear some hits, but most of the time it's new music, and I hope that you will like it." And then he simply plays the stuff. And interestingly enough, Genesis, when I saw them in 2007, there's always this kind of dispute going on between the really old fans, the OGs, who know the long stuff from the early 70s, and then the people who know the hits from the Phil Collins era, as it's called. And the band knows that there is this kind of conflict going on. So they have to decide, okay, how many hits can we play and how many old stuff can we play? With the difference being the old stuff is usually very long, at least 8 minutes or something like this, whereas the hits are much shorter. And then you really can hear the different parts of the audience. When the old songs start, then you have them clapping. When the hits start, then you maybe have the majority clapping or so. It was a bit strange. I mean, I like the older stuff more, but I also do like many of the hits because it's good music. Nevertheless, it's all top-notch stuff that other people would be happy about to have one song of that kind. And those concerts were very special because you could really see that there are two different parts or two different kinds of fans in there.
Yeah, that's a heck of a challenge for them. I mean, because as you said, the different eras that you're talking that we referred to here are pretty divergent. Like you're talking about like hard go ahead straight ahead rock for like for much of for the latter half of their career, And the beginning of their career, it's like really, like you said, like 15-minute long, like prog rock movements. It's just like an entire like
Yeah.
side of a record album for a song. So they're different. They're totally different things. Now, many fans of Genesis, I think, can appreciate both. But you're right. Like there are really hard, like very fervent camps for both sides. So balancing that must have been such a thing. I don't think they tour anymore, but that must have been such a thing for a while. So I'm glad they figured it out though. Like I'm sure it still winds up being a really good concert no matter what they do. So um, lots of respect for people who have been established like that and are willing to take those chances. And I think Peter Gabriel is just kind of that, always been that kind of guy. Like he's never really been the kind that really. I've felt forever that Peter Gabriel is the one who will zag when everybody else zigs, and that's just a good example of
Oh,
that.
yes.
He's always been like that.
Yes. I mean, also with this kind of charity that he's doing, and he had this time where he was making music with chimpanzees, and other rock stars read about that and thought, why? Why? What is the thing behind it? What's the idea? But that's the nice thing that I like about Peter Gabriel and all these peculiar guys or peculiar people actually who really do not care about what others think about what they're doing. The best example, in my opinion, is Neil Young. Many people know him from his country music, the folk music,
Mm-hmm.
songs like Heart of Gold, Harvest Moon, which is some kind of a Twitch classic, I would say. Many people play this song. Um, but then there is the side of him playing this really heavy rock, a very garage rock sound in a certain way. I mean, his backing band, Crazy Horse, they are legendary. It's sad that the original lineup doesn't work anymore because one of the, I think his second guitar player just can't make it anymore. His health isn't good enough to perform on stage. But I was lucky enough to see those four guys live some years ago, and it was totally different. It wasn't this country folk kind of stuff. It was just noise, almost grunge. I mean, he's called the godfather of grunge for a reason, and you could hear it. And he really pulled it off by having those endless waves of guitar feedback just rolling across the arena that we were in, and you could actually tell that some of the guys in the audience, some of the people in the audience, they only knew his country hits and they were shocked. And even though that he was on stage for 50 years, they were shocked to hear this kind of harsh music. That's also a bit different than from what he's playing on the studio because
Right.
these feedback loops are rarely shown on the live recordings.
Interesting. So he really was more innovative than we even realized, because we already knew that, but he took it to a level that I mean, he's apparently taking it to even bigger levels than I anticipated. I did hear that he was a forerunner of grunge. I've heard that before, but hearing the details of it is really interesting. So, but like you said, Neil Young has always been marching to his own drum, and that is so true. I remember when he came out with that. What was it, like this MP3 listening, this audio listening device thing? In it was not that. It was a few years ago. But
Yeah, it was this Toblerone shaped player.
yes,
I forgot the name. It was something with four letters, I think.
yes, yeah,
And it was so weird because he's a total audio nerd and he hates MP3 with all his guts. I mean,
yep,
for a reason, because MP3 sometimes really destroys the sound of the actual music because of this very uh, massive compression. And
right,
you can listen and you can hear this actually. It's not just that super pitched people can hear this with super fancy hearing abilities, but sometimes you just hear that because of the digitalization, the the sound is cut off somehow. You
right.
can hear this in certain files, even especially when it's bad compression, because not every MP3 file is the same. He goes the opposite way. He says, I want people to have the studio sound wherever they go. And then he had this player that people invented for him that didn't really work out because I think he had a special file format for this, and then he had his own store selling his own music for a while, and it just didn't really work out. But as far as I know, Tidal went and took this idea to another level and said, well, we will offer the music in high fidelity.
Yeah. And Tidal is
And then,
remarkably. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, that was the impact that happened because of this, because they realized, well, there must be some kind of market for selling music online that hi-fi fans would want to buy. And then they said, okay, we will offer lossless music, and they specialize on this. And I'm glad that Bandcamp, my favorite music platform, leaves it up to the customer to choose what they want. MP3 or even the Apple file formats that you can have, lossless formats, even raw WAV files, the biggest stuff that you can download that you actually need one of those really basic players on a computer to make it play or that you create a CD from.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I think that this kind of possibility of choice is the best that can happen.
That's well said. I agree. I think Bandcamp does give you that flexibility too. And I've listened to some. I've connected Bandcamp to my stereo with a DAC, to convert everything into something that the stereo can play back. And a handful of. Oh no! I'm trying to think. I was like, did Sarah release an album? No, LJP released an album, and Sarah did one of the tracks. And I remember listening to that particular cut, and just how really well produced it was, and how great the sound was, because it was recorded at such a high bit rate and such a high um, high frequency rate, and just like it really came through on the speakers. And so like I love that we can do it ourselves. Like we can do it too. Like you can do it, and other people on Twitch can do it. Let's see. Rain says, doesn't MP3 stand for massive compression 3? Literally. It's very flat and thin. It's very loud. A lot of people probably wouldn't know the difference. That's the thing. It's like most people probably don't even know the difference. But you start to learn the difference when you hear it on better speakers and better headphones and better stereos. That's when it starts to make more sense. You start to hear that more. And when you see something badly compressed, it's bad. Like it almost feels like
Yes.
someone's shouting in your ear. It's it's really bad. Um so anyway, let's go to one last question. Here it is from Aza Inspirator. Thanks for hanging out with us, Aza. The question is, if you had the choice to either change the world secretly or leave your mark, what would it be for? I think you might have just answered it.
I think that people should treat music with more respect than just seeing it as some kind of background noise happening. And this goes straight against Spotify because they amplify this kind of musicification. No, what is the word? At least they take the music and degrade it to something that's just a convenience product. It's no art anymore. And the AI development, the AI music development that has happened some month ago that Spotify really pushes is the total destruction of the actual meaning of music. Because it's not just background noise. If you want background noise, you can have a sound generator that has rain and sea noises happening. And even there is some kind of an artist perspective on this. But what Spotify does is, first of all, offering the music for free so that the artists aren't really paid or unpaid properly. And sadly, we're able to push this opinion into the mass market that music isn't worth anything anymore because you can listen to it for free on Spotify. I think it's 3 songs or so, and then the ad break happens, but then again, you get another 3 songs, and so on and so on. And this is something that makes the lives of professional musicians very difficult because they can only rely on performances. Because nobody would buy their music as an album anymore on CD, on vinyl, on cassette, or as a download. No, because they could listen to it on Spotify all the time. and then the playlist stuff happens, which destroys the album idea. We had this earlier during the quiz. We know some hit singles, but we don't know the album, or I didn't know the album. And Spotify helps to break everything down into single tracks. And I really do not like that some people jump on the wagon and say, okay, I will release a single a month or a single every 3 months or so, instead of trying to find some cohesive, long form work which results in an extended play, the EP, or in an album which offers more than just a single track. It's nice to hear a cool track on the radio, but for me personally, it's much more interesting to hear what the musicians or the single musician comes up with in the collection of songs. Is there some kind of storytelling? Is there some kind of cohesive sound going on? Can you actually hear that these songs came from the same period of time, or is it just a selection of recordings from different years that are just thrown together because the theme might be the same? Um, this is a new dimension that only works when you have the album format and when you have the time and the dedication to listen to the album as a whole. And Spotify simply goes the other way and rows hit after hit. And this is something I totally do not like at all.
And I'm imagining if you could change the world, you would try to bring the culture back to the vision of doing albums and using that as a form of storytelling.
Yes, exactly that.
Mhm.
I mean, you wouldn't take Mona Lisa and make a wallpaper out of it and just put it everywhere on every wall that you have in your flat or your house.
Right.
And somehow the understanding of music is totally different. There are record collectors still. I mean, I'm one, and I know many other people who are as well. But it's not about collecting records. It's about enjoying music not as a given, but as something that you take your time to listen to the music and to get something out of this. And I don't think that this is really possible when using Spotify, unless you specifically want to listen to the album. Because most people I know that are Spotify listeners, they have playlists with different songs from different artists, and then this happens what I just talked about. It's just a collection of songs, like a mixtape back in the 80s. Somebody recorded it from the radio and having still bits of the announcements at the end or at the beginning of
Right.
those
Right.
ripped recordings. And it's just not, it doesn't work.
I feel your
It brings
frustration.
things down to this kind of YouTube background music level, lo-fi stuff. There's
Yeah.
more to music than just that.
There's no doubt. And I think this is why I think live music is particularly important today, is because it gives you that understanding of like where music goes, where it comes from, and who does it. And that's why I think more than ever concerts are such an important part of an artist's career. But like you said, um I I love albums. I'm with you. Like I don't think I've ever, but you really couldn't have, but when I was growing up. But I never really did buy singles because it wasn't really a thing you could do. Like most of the time, music was released in CDs. The 90s and the 2000s were like really a great renaissance for album buying because it was genuinely the only way you could buy someone's song. So even if you just wanted to buy one song, you're like, well, we're gonna get the CD anyway, so it's like, oh, we'll get it. And then you just find out the rest of the album, like, oh, this is great. Like there needs to be a way for that to continue to be a thing. I don't ever want that to die because I love the storytelling, like you said. I'm with you on that.
I mean, I say this because I'm a music fan first.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because most of my tracks are 20 minutes long and longer.
No.
That just happens because the music is that way.
Right.
But still, yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't know how this development happened, but I hope that we can find a way back.
Yeah,
Otherwise, music would really lose its qualities.
I agree with that. I think people have already started to turn on Spotify, which is a good sign. I think people, like I did, like I switched. I had Spotify for over, gosh, close to 15 years, I think. About 3 to 4 years ago, so I was even doing this ahead of other people, but I freed it 4 years ago. I just stopped using it. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I just did other platforms, and so I'm kind of hoping more of that
Yeah.
happens. It's gonna take time, but
The sad thing is that people are just leaving Spotify not because of the very low morals that they have against musicians, but actually because of the drone investments and all this kind of stuff,
yeah,
the military
that
aspects.
got more of a reaction for
And
sure.
that really shows where the problem lies. They really do not, or many people do not treat music as the high quality project that it is.
Yep.
They simply see it like a convenience thing. It's just
Yeah,
sound.
and it's kind of been that way for generations, I suppose too. But that is unfortunate. I wish we gave more respect to music on the whole as well, and didn't just see it as something to put on the radio, right? Just like something to connect between commercial breaks. There's so much more to music than that, and so
Yeah.
I would love for their people to kind of pay more attention to it. Um, yeah, and it's amazing we've even come to this. Ryan says, "I'll just be happy if people keep listening to music, human-made music instead of machine-made music at this point." Just bananas.
Yes.
Like, what?
Absolutely correct.
Who would settle for machine-made music? It always sounds so fake to me. But some people don't care, and that's what bothers me personally. You know?
Because this kind of AI music stuff is really the perfect example of what the Spotify development showed.
Yeah,
It's music without a soul, it's music without a sense, because it's just a bunch of algorithms putting elements together that the majority of listeners seem to like based on stuff that happened in the last 30 years of internet history.
yeah, correct. Yeah, yeah,
And this is no music, it's just elements thrown together somehow to sound like it's making sense, but there is no art behind this.
yeah.
Even people who write very generic pop songs have more appeal than anything that is AI generated.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
But I read that Azar wrote, I do like Bandcamp and how much they help artists. And yes, that's very true. Even when you have an album at a low price, let's say €5 or $6 or so, or $4, you still make more money by selling one download of this record than you would have by 1 month of playing the music on Spotify,
absolutely. Yeah,
unless you have those 10,000 listeners each month. So that's the absolute advantage of Bandcamp, where there is actually value behind the music
yeah,
and
yeah,
people are willing to pay this. That's positive, the most positive thing about it.
yeah.
That people are still willing to, first of all, want to have the album as their own uh, property, so to speak. It's their download of the music. They can do whatever they want. Hopefully, not upload it to bootlegging websites. Um, and then they treat you with respect as a musician who put a lot of time
Yeah.
into this product, into the music.
I love this. I love this. Ozzy says AI music making it hard for artists to be appreciated as well. Yeah, correct. Yeah. And King says it's lazy. Yep. Yeah. It's just a general problem I think that I'm having with people in general, just like not appreciating what that people put work to make things happen. And I think maybe because of how easy it is to get to certain things, it's something that some folks may take for granted, like how food gets made. That's another good example, or how people put streams together. It's never as easy as it looks, and so it is always great when people see and appreciate how much work does go into an event, music, song, any of these things. High artist at 1234. So yeah, and I think that's a great place to kind of put a ribbon on ribbon on our spot. I really appreciate chatting with you, Mr. X. This has been quite an insightful conversation. It's been cool getting to learn all of the facets of what makes music work, and some of the ins and outs of hosting events and music. So, thank you for taking the time to spend time with us tonight. And I know you hope your future releases do go well, and and we'll see you on stream too. I believe I've seen you at least once a week. What would your typical stream schedule be like for you?
Yes, actually, my next stream will probably be on Wednesday because it's my birthday stream,
Oh my
and I thought,
goodness!
why not do a celebration stream on the day, actually, on the 19th of November.
Ooh,
But thank you so much for having me. It's
absolutely.
a pleasure talking to you, and I really hope that one day we will see IRL or meet each other IRL and then even talk about this much longer and much deeper.
Oh, I love it. I would be most delighted to meet you in person. I have a tentative date of summer 2026 to hopefully make a journey to Rotterdam. So if
Ooh.
you happen to be around,
I
and
will,
it
of
would be
course.
yeah, it'd be really fun. Oh, thank you, Arista1234. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the happy birthday greetings to Mr. X. And I mirror the happy birthday, Mr. X, in advance.
I wanted to say in advance, not yet, but the time will come.
All right. King's Freud Geburtstag, aka happy birthday.
hmm
And Ozza says, been great to catch you guys. It's great to catch you too, Ozza. Can we give a shout to Ozza Inspirator as well in chat? Ozza says happy birthday in advance. I love it. That's amazing.
I mean, it's correct because Azza's based in Australia, so he will be celebrating my birthday before I can.
Oh, it's true. You're ahead of all of us. Oh, thank you. Pump it up first. 1234. Thanks for the follow, by the way. And so with that, we say goodnight. But before we go, let's figure out. I think I know where we can raid. Would you be interested in catching up with Mocker, who's also with Kevin's Cafe Live and B Flat the Goat?
Ooh, of course.
Let's do it.
Of course.
All right, can do the honors. Got to get those raid calls in there. Thank you, EFLAT. Can we give a shout to that EFLAT guy too? EFLAT's is a great conversation. Absolutely. You do know your music quite well, my friend. So I'd be glad to do this again with you sometime. And yes, if I do end up in Rotterdam, I would like to join the bar crew with the Chris and yourself, and we can go sample new
We
libation.
will go there.
Yeah.
That's always the best part. When everything is done, chilling out with friends. It's
Yeah.
the best of everything.
Mm-hmm.
See you there, I hope. Thank you so much.
You're so
Dave.
welcome. Glad to do this with you. By the way, friends, if you would, our next stream will be in a couple of days, but on Tuesday, we're going to hang out with Courtney Visser Music. So if you want, or if you're looking forward to the next interview, it'll be a great guest. So catch us on Tuesday night at our normal time, 9 o'clock Eastern time in the U.S. But also convert that to the time zone in your area, wherever you may be. So let's go start the raid. We're going to say hi to Mocker. I'm specifically rating the Mocker Plays channel because Mocker has been streaming every day for over 10 days. I think this is now day 12, 11 or 12. So big shout to Mocker Plays. So we're going to start this up. And Mocker's down to 2 hours and 33 minutes, Mr. X. Wow.
Oh, we need to change that.
I think we do need to change that. So copy the raid calls, folks. Let's go change things up over there. And say hi to Mocker Plays. Have a good rest of your Saturday, everyone. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
And
Take care.
Thanks. Take care. We'll see you next time, everybody. Take it easy. So much fun. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yes.
Let me push this button. And we'll see you at Mocker Plays. Good night, everybody.